Walk into your chicken run in the dead of mid-August. The heat hits you like a physical wall, but what instantly turns your stomach is the smell. That sharp, eye-watering chemical burn of wet ammonia rising from soaked pine shavings. You look down and you see it. Your $80 commercial waterer is sitting in a pool of gray, rotting mud. The plastic housing has a microscopic hairline fracture. The cheap internal seal has inverted, and 40 gallons of fresh water just drained directly into the dirt. Your birds are panting in the corner. You just became a victim of the agricultural supply industry's favorite engineered failure point. They do not want you building permanent, self-sustaining infrastructure. They want you trapped in a mathematically guaranteed cycle of wallet extraction, buying fragile, over-engineered retail junk that is destined to shatter, clog, or flood your coop every single summer. Today, we are tearing apart the exact thermodynamic and mechanical failure points built into store-bought poultry systems. We are going to expose the proprietary replacement trick designed to drain your bank account every spring. And we are going to look at the permanent, $0 gravity alternative that the big supply catalogs desperately want to keep off your radar. The industry relies on a specific piece of engineering fraud I call the Micro-Valve Ransom. But let's look at the actual physics of this extortion. Okaying piece of bright red plastic that promises professional automation. You hang it up, connect the hose, and walk away. Now, look closer at the hidden choke point. Inside that sleek housing is a tiny, hair-thin tension spring fighting against constant water pressure. This is a thermodynamic nightmare waiting to happen. Silt and feed from the birds' beaks get washed into the trough. The microscopic grit migrates up the water column. A single grain of sand lodges in the plastic valve stem. The cheap metal spring cannot overcome the physical friction, and the valve sticks wide open. You wake up to the maddening sound of continuous, rhythmic splashing. A dark, sludgy algae bloom creeps up the plastic sides, feeding on the stagnant overflow. Your entire run is a toxic swamp. You are out $60 for the unit, plus the cost of replacing rotting structural wood. Any guy turning a wrench on commercial poultry lines knows you never trust a spring-loaded seal under constant static pressure. The supply catalogs will tell you this is a feature. Do you really think they haven't figured out how to mold UV-resistant plastic by now? Let's peel back the plastic on the next failure point. Notice the convenience of the retail, pre-drilled nipple bucket. It sits on the shelf wrapped in glossy cardboard, promising a clean, enclosed water supply. The engineering crime here is the material itself. It is thin-walled, non-opaque high-density polyethylene that completely lacks ultraviolet stabilization. When you put this in your yard, the sun's radiation immediately attacks the polymer chains. The plastic molecules literally separate. Run your hand over it after 3 months. The material turns from flexible and tough to spongy, flaking like wet chalk under your fingernail. The moment a thirsty bird pecks the metal trigger, the brittle plastic wall micro-cracks under the strain. The rubber O-ring loses its seat. You walk out to find the bucket bone dry, accompanied by the sickening sound of a steady drip forming a slick, dangerous sheet of ice in the winter or a foul-smelling sinkhole in the summer. That is another $30 effortlessly extracted from your pocket. Any veteran out in the field knows what happens next. That brings us to the low-pressure autofill line. They sell you the dream of hooking a garden hose to a PVC manifold so you never have to carry a bucket again. The catastrophic flaw is the inline rubber diaphragm regulator. City water pressure fluctuates wildly. That cheap, paper-thin rubber stretches, fatigues, and hardens. One night, a municipal pressure spike hits the line. The diaphragm tears cleanly down the middle. Full municipal water pressure, 60 psi, slams into flimsy, friction-fit compression joints that were only rated for 5 psi. They blow apart like plastic shrapnel. You step outside to a violent geyser. The violent hiss of aerated water tearing a massive erosion trench right through the foundation of your coop. The water bill alone from that single night will hit the mid-hundreds. It is a mathematically guaranteed cycle of wallet extraction. This brings us to the real mathematical insult. Let's trace the exact steps of this engineered trap. First, you buy the starter kit with custom thread pitches that purposely do not match any standard hardware store plumbing. Second, the fragile proprietary filter housing cracks the very first time you try to unscrew it to clean out basic roof moss. Third, the manufacturer conveniently refuses to sell that single plastic housing, forcing you to repurchase the entire $60 manifold assembly. They lock you entirely into the Micro-Valve Ransom. You can almost hear the engineering team laughing. That brings us to the actual hardware. We are going to replace all of this with a system that uses the brute force of gravity and raw material mass. The foundation is a used, food-grade IBC tote, 275 gallons of bulk storage. But you cannot just leave it in the sun. You must wrap the entire tank in black roofing tin or paint it completely pitch black. Algae is a plant. It requires light for photosynthesis. In total darkness, algae simply cannot exist. Next, look at the gutters on your coop roof. You pipe that rainwater into a simple PVC first flush diverter. It is just a vertical drop pipe that catches the initial roof dust, pollen, and bird droppings. Once that vertical pipe fills, only crystal clear, filtered rainwater flows over the top and into your blacked-out tank. For the delivery, we abandon fragile tubing. We run solid, thick-walled Schedule 40 PVC pipes straight from the bottom of the tote. If you look in the bed of a seasoned agricultural service truck, you won't find a single piece of thin-walled retail PVC. You take heavy-duty, stainless steel horizontal poultry nipples and tap them directly into the thick plastic pipe with a drill and a pipe tap. No cups to collect rotting feed. No internal springs to bind up with sand. No low-pressure regulators to blow out. The heavy mass of the water provides the exact pressure needed. The solution is violently simple. Source a used food-grade IBC tote. Wrap the entire tank in black UV block. Install a simple PVC first flush diverter. Run solid Schedule 40 distribution lines. Tap horizontal stainless nipples directly into pipe. Eliminate all inline pressure regulators.